Sunday, the 3rd of May, 2026, Old Trafford, 90 minutes. That meant everything. Before a single ball was kicked, something happened inside that stadium that stopped people in their tracks. Something that had nothing to do with formation, nothing to do with tactics, nothing to do with the 3 points on offer. And yet it shaped the entire emotional weight of what followed. Welcome to Adam United Analyst. My name is Adam, and today we are going to break down every single layer of what happened at Old Trafford on Sunday, what it means for this football club going forward, and why this moment, this specific moment in time, may turn out to be one of the most significant days in Manchester United's recent history. Let us get into it. Before the match even began, medics were called to attend to Sir Alex Ferguson inside Old Trafford. The 84-year-old was treated on site and then taken away from the ground in an ambulance before the 3:30 kickoff. Eyewitnesses at the scene confirmed he appeared to be okay, but the images of Ferguson leaving that stadium in an ambulance were deeply unsettling for everyone connected to this football club. Michael Carrick, the man in the dugout, already knew. He had been told before kickoff. And what he said afterwards told you everything about the kind of person he is. He said, and I want you to hear these words carefully, he said that he was very affected by the news. Not slightly concerned, not a little worried, very affected. And then despite that, he walked out and managed his team to a 3-2 victory over Liverpool, secured Champions League football, and delivered what he openly hoped would give Ferguson, quote, a good boost when he heard the result. That is not a small thing. That is a human being carrying weight, carrying emotion, and still performing at the highest level. Now let us be very clear about what was at stake in this match beyond the obvious emotional backdrop. A defeat or even a draw could have left Manchester United's Champions League qualification in serious doubt. The situation coming into this game was clear. United were in 3rd place, 6 points clear of Liverpool in 4th. A win would confirm Champions League football. A defeat would let Liverpool breathe again and extend the tension into the final weeks of the season. The pressure on Michael Carrick was immense, and yet he delivered. Before we go any deeper into this story, and we are going to go very deep today, I want to ask you something. If you are watching this and you want honest, detailed, fact-based analysis on Manchester United without the noise, without the bias, and without the clickbait, then hit that subscribe button right now. Join the Adam United analyst community. Every video I make is built around giving you the real picture. Now let us get back to it. Sir Alex Ferguson and the emotional weight. There is something important to say here about Sir Alex Ferguson that goes beyond the medical situation itself. Ferguson arrived at Old Trafford on Sunday. He was there at 84 years old. He came to watch his former club take on their greatest rivals. That tells you everything about the man's connection to this football club. And then, before the game began, he was taken ill and removed from the ground in an ambulance. Carrick admitted that hearing the news before kickoff left him very affected. That is not a throwaway comment. These are not generic pleasantries. Carrick is a man who played for Ferguson, who was shaped by Ferguson, whose entire career trajectory was influenced by the decisions Ferguson made. To hear that news before such a high-stakes match and still lead your team to a victory of that magnitude speaks to a level of professionalism and focus that deserves genuine respect. Carrick said he hoped the result would give Ferguson a good boost when he heard it. A 3-2 victory over Liverpool that secured Champions League football. If there is a result to hear from a hospital bed, that is the one. The transfer picture. What is confirmed, what is rumour, and what it all means. Now let us move into the summer transfer window. Because Sunday's result changes things significantly in terms of what Manchester United can do in the market. Champions League football is now confirmed. And that changes the financial picture completely. Let me start with the budget situation because this is the foundation of everything. Fabrizio Romano has outlined the factors pointing to a very busy summer window at Old Trafford. Rasmus Højlund's loan deal is expected to become permanent, meaning an incoming fee of €44 million for the club that owns his registration. Jadon Sancho and Casemiro's wages are coming off the books. The Marcus Rashford situation is set to be resolved. There is a sell-on clause from the Mason Greenwood transfer. And crucially, there is now additional revenue coming in from UEFA Champions League matches and wins. That is a significant collection of incoming cash flows and wage bill reductions. The club is in a far stronger financial position heading into this window than many expected even a few months ago. Now let me go through the individual transfer situations one by one, clearly separating what is confirmed from what is only a rumour. Casemiro, confirmed departure. This one is essentially done. Casemiro's contract expires this summer and he will leave the club. The question is simply where he goes. Inter Miami and LA Galaxy are currently leading the race for his signature. The situation is that he is reportedly more tempted by a move to Major League Soccer than by the interest coming from Saudi Arabia. This is a departure that has been planned for and anticipated. The club will need replacements in midfield. Joshua Zirkzee, uncertain future, still a rumour. Fabrizio Romano has spoken about Zirkzee's situation in detail. The player genuinely loves being at Manchester United. He describes it as one of the best places in the world to be, but he finds it very difficult to commit to leaving and equally difficult to fully commit to staying without clarity on two key questions. First, who will be the manager next season? Second, whether the club can guarantee him regular game time. With Champions League football now confirmed, the schedule is going to be far busier. That is a relevant factor in how much playing time he can realistically expect. Nothing is decided here. This is a situation to monitor, not a confirmed departure. Elliot Anderson, rumoured target Manchester United, have identified Elliot Anderson of Nottingham Forest as their prime midfield target for next summer. However, the situation is that Manchester City are understood to be ahead of United in the race for his signature. This is a rumour at this stage. No deal is close. No bid has been made, but it is a name the club is actively monitoring and pursuing. Danilo from Botafogo, early stage rumour. Manchester United have made an initial inquiry for Brazilian midfielder Danilo from Botafogo. That is the confirmed part. Botafogo are asking a minimum of £34 million and expect his value to rise after the World Cup this summer. This is very early stage. An inquiry is not a bid. A bid is not a deal. But the interest is real and the initial contact has been made. Carlos Baleba, Alex Scott, Sandro Tonali. Mentioned options. These three names have been discussed internally as United look to address their midfield depth following Casemiro's departure. With Manuel Ugarte considered far below the required standard as a backup option, the club is likely to pursue at least two midfield signings this summer. But I want to be very clear. These are at the discussion stage. There is nothing concrete on any of these three names beyond the fact that they have been considered Rafael Leão, offered, not pursued. This is an important distinction to make. Rafael Leão has been offered to Manchester United, Arsenal and Chelsea by intermediaries. AC Milan would consider offers in the region of 50 million euros. His future is described as open, despite ongoing contract talks. However, no bids have been made from any of the English clubs. They are simply assessing the opportunity. This is not a United transfer target. This is a player whose camp is testing the market and seeing what interest exists. Very different situations. Kingsford Bokeh. Early interest, 21-year-old Everton winger. Kingsford Bokeh has been added to Manchester United's shortlist ahead of the summer window. Brighton, Atletico Madrid and RB Leipzig are also monitoring him. His contract to Everton runs until June 26. This is monitoring stage. Shortlist inclusion is not a bid and not a formal approach, but the profile fits what United need on the wing. Harry Kane monitoring situation. Manchester United are keeping a close eye on Harry Kane's contract situation at Bayern Munich. Kane is entering crucial discussions with Bayern at the end of the season. The position is that United are ready to act if those negotiations hit any complications. However, Bayern Munich remain relaxed and confident that Kane will sign a new deal. United are not actively prioritising a striker in this window, but the assessment is clear internally. If Kane becomes available, it is an opportunity too significant to ignore. Mickey van der Ven, potential defensive target. Nicky Butt has spoken publicly about Manchester United's defensive needs and specifically highlighted Mickey van der Ven of Tottenham as an outstanding option. He described van der Ven as an excellent left-footed centre-back, similar to Lisandro Martinez, but quicker, bigger and more powerful. Butt's reasoning also included a key market reality. If Tottenham are relegated this season, the club will likely need to sell players to manage their wage bill, and most players at the club are unlikely to have relegation clauses in their contracts. That could open a window for clubs to move for high-quality Tottenham players at below market value. This is analyst commentary and observation, not a confirmed transfer target, but the logic is sound. The match and the man, Kobbie Mainoo. The comeback story. Nobody saw coming. Let us start with the player who won the game. Kobbie Mainoo, 21 years old, a local kid from Manchester, and the man who struck the winning goal in front of the Stretford end in one of the biggest Premier League derbies of the season. But here is what makes this story genuinely remarkable. Go back to the end of last year. Mainoo was not in the team. He was not even close to the team. Under the previous manager, Ruben Amorim, Mainoo had been effectively pushed to the fringes. There were reports that a loan move was being discussed. This was a player who had started in the FA Cup final and the European Championship final for England. A player of that pedigree was being shown the door at his own club. Then Amorim left, and everything changed. Under interim boss Darren Fletcher first, and then under Michael Carrick, Mainoo was immediately restored to the starting 11. And not just restored, he was made the foundation of the entire midfield structure, playing as a number 6, sitting in front of the defence, doing the quiet, disciplined, essential work that allows everyone else to function. The results have been impossible to ignore. With Mainoo anchoring that midfield, Casemiro has been freed up to contribute in both boxes and has enjoyed his best goal-scoring season at the club. Bruno Fernandes has been able to operate as a genuine number 10, the position he is most dangerous in, rather than being forced into a deeper role where his qualities are wasted. The entire attacking machine of the team began to function properly once Mainoo was back in it, and the numbers back this up. When Mainoo was absent in the shock defeat to Leeds United, United looked completely different, lost control of the game, and paid the price. The contrast was stark and telling. Now here is what the experts are saying about him. Roy Keane, a man who does not hand out compliments lightly, said on Sky Sports that it was a great moment for Mainoo. He acknowledged the challenges the young player had been through. He called the winning goal fantastic for a local kid. That is high praise from Roy Keane. However, in a separate moment, Keane also offered a note of caution. He said he is not yet fully convinced. He acknowledged the talent, he acknowledged the youth, but he said Mainoo needs to do even more. That balance of praise and challenge from Keane is actually worth paying attention to. He is not dismissing Mainoo. He is setting the standard higher. Daniel Sturridge, the former Liverpool striker, added his voice to the conversation. He said it was a difficult period for Messi mentally, noting how tough it must have been to hear his own manager publicly question his positioning in the team. But Sturridge pointed to the comeback as evidence of character and momentum. He also challenged Mainoo to develop his explosiveness and physical robustness, suggesting that if he does, he is looking at a player who can reach a completely different level. Micah Richards, speaking on Match of the Day, went further in his praise. He pointed out that Mainoo had been under big pressure returning to the team because the entire fan base wanted him back, and that when expectation is that high, you still have to perform. He said Mainoo has done exactly that. Richards also confirmed that Mainoo signed a new contract this week and has returned to the England squad. With the World Cup approaching this summer, Richards made the point that Mainoo has hit his best form at precisely the right moment. Diogo Dalot, speaking as a teammate and someone who has seen this story from the inside, gave perhaps the most honest take of all. He said, and this is important, that what happened to Mainoo under Amorim was actually good for his career. He said that going through that difficult period, having to work harder in training, having to prove himself again, made Mainoo stronger, not weaker. Stronger. That is an important distinction. Some players crumble when they are dropped and sidelined, others use it as fuel. The evidence of the last 4 months suggests Mainoo belongs firmly in the second category. Michael Carrick, the case for the permanent job. Michael Carrick was appointed interim head coach on the 13th of January. At that point, Manchester United were in 7th place. 7th out of the top 6, with no European football on the horizon and a squad that looked completely disconnected from any identity or direction. 14 games later under his management, he has won 10 of them. He has only suffered 2 defeats. He has beaten Manchester City, Arsenal, Aston Villa, Chelsea, and now Liverpool. That is the entire top 6 defeated under his watch. Not one of them. All of them. He has taken a 7th place club and moved them into 3rd, 6 points clear of Liverpool in 4th, with Champions League football confirmed. The numbers are extraordinary. The results against elite opposition are extraordinary. And the atmosphere at the club has visibly transformed. Ian Wright, speaking after the Liverpool victory, did not hold back. He said the managerial change has done Manchester United genuine good. He said they look completely different. And then he made his position crystal clear. He said he would give Carrick the job because he has earned it. And that it would be madness not to. He went even further, suggesting United would be in the title race had Carrick started the season from the beginning. Roy Keane also acknowledged what Carrick has achieved. He made the point that the remit was clear, get into the Champions League, and Carrick has done exactly that. He noted that Carrick has left an impression on everyone at the club and is winning football matches consistently. Keane said that while the club may be looking at other options simultaneously, every win Carrick gets gives him a stronger and stronger case. So why is the job not simply handed to him? The situation is more complicated than the results alone suggest. Manchester United's decision-makers are aware of what happened with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, a club legend, a man loved by supporters, placed in the interim role and then handed the permanent job. The results initially were strong, but the long-term outcome was ultimately painful. That experience has made the club cautious about repeating the same pattern, regardless of how strong the current results look. One external name has already surfaced, Andoni Iraola. The club's leadership is keeping their cards very close to their chest over who will take charge next season. The permanent appointment will not be confirmed until after the final game of the season on the 24th of May. There is one more detail that caught my attention. Manchester United are reportedly keeping close tabs on Bayern Munich assistant coach Aaron Danks. The situation, according to sources, is that Carrick himself wants Danks as part of his long-term coaching staff if he lands the permanent role. The fact that Carrick is already thinking about building a backroom team is itself a signal of intent. This is not a man simply riding the wave. He is planning for a future at this club. The Liverpool perspective, no analysis of Sunday's match would be complete without acknowledging what happened from Liverpool's point of view. Arne Slot was frustrated after the game. Specifically, he raised the issue of Benjamin Sesko's disallowed goal. He believed the ball had touched Sesko's hand based on the change in the ball's trajectory, and he made a pointed comment about VAR decisions consistently going against his side throughout the season. He said, and this is a direct quote, "There is no surprise to anyone that if there is a VAR intervention, the decision goes against Liverpool, and that it has happened to them all season. That frustration tells its own story. Liverpool came into this match needing a result to keep their Champions League ambitions alive. They left Old Trafford having conceded 3 goals and dropped further behind in the race for 4th place. The psychological blow of losing at Old Trafford to a United side that had been written off months ago should not be underestimated." What does all of this mean for Manchester United? Let me bring everything together now and give you the clear, honest picture of where Manchester United stand. On the pitch, the transformation under Michael Carrick has been remarkable and statistically undeniable. 10 wins from 14 games, every top 6 club defeated, a journey from 7th place to 3rd, Champions League football secured. That is the on-field reality. The heartbeat of the team is Kobbie Mainoo. 21 years old, a Manchester local, reborn after a difficult period under the previous manager. He has signed a new contract. He is in the England squad. He scored the winner against Liverpool. He is exactly the kind of player Manchester United can build around for the next decade. Casemiro will leave this summer, heading most likely to Major League Soccer. He has been a fine servant, but his time at the club is coming to an end. His contribution this season, made possible by the space Mainoo created in midfield, has been a fitting final chapter. The transfer window is going to be very active. Champions League qualification opens doors, both financially and in terms of attracting players. The budget is boosted by multiple incoming factors. At least 2 midfield signings are needed. A centre-back may well be targeted depending on what happens with Tottenham's league position. And the manager situation needs to be resolved before any of the serious transfer business can truly begin. The managerial decision will come after the 24th of May. Carrick has done everything within his power to make the answer obvious, but the club will make their decision based on more than just results alone. The shadow of the Solskjaer experience hangs over this process, whether that is fair or not. And through all of it, in the background, the image of Sir Alex Ferguson being taken from Old Trafford in an ambulance before the game remains the most human and most powerful element of the entire day. The fact that United won, that they won in style, that they secured Champions League football, that they did it against Liverpool, gives that moment a context that is deeply emotional for anyone who cares about this football club. Carrick said he hoped the result would give Ferguson a good boost. Everything that happened on Sunday, the goal, the comeback, the 3 points, the Champions League confirmation, all of it feels like Manchester United refusing to give in to a season that started so badly, to the doubts, to the noise. And right now, at this moment in time, that matters. Thank you for watching, Adam United Analyst. If this breakdown gave you value, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Carrick gets the permanent job? Do you think Mainoo is ready to be the long-term heartbeat of this midfield? I want to hear from you. I will see you in the next one.